Hey everybody, welcome back to another monthly webinar, Latinos in Clinical Research, LICR, if you're cool. That's the acronym. And today we've got Belkis Rodriguez. She's the site owner, lead CRC, HHA, CNA, MA. We got to find out what HHA means, of Pharma
It's home
Research.
health.
Home health. Okay, there we go. We got a lot to talk about from Pharma Research Associates. We're going to have links to her LinkedIn underneath. But Belkis is in Miami, Florida, the greater Miami area, and very diverse patient population. And I wanted to get, and I know Judy, Monica, Ashley also wanted to ask some questions in regards to patient recruitment, and very interesting with not just with the Hispanic population, but Creole as well. So Belkis, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. How's everything?
Thank you so much. Everything is going well. Adjusting to our times, and working harder than ever. Actually,
How's business?
just
How's business right now? Like at this moment
we
in time?
we are busy. We are busy, and we are looking into some of the COVID studies. So we have geared up our center with additional testing, additional areas to keep patients that are possibly positive for COVID. So that is where we are right now.
Let's start with the home health, because your interview is also inspirational, because I know a lot of people watching and listening to this podcast maybe later or live, have ambitions also, like site ownership. And how does one go from CNA and HHA and MA, all those acronyms you have, like how does one go from that to site owner? And then we'll get into some more present topics.
Well, the origins are MA. I started out as an MA, and I found the need that the patients needed further understanding at times. It was something where we gave them a lot of attention and a lot of catering to, a lot of explaining, and these patients became very attracted to the studies. So if they met all the criteria and everything, then we were able to enroll them. These were patients that many times were not being looked at as potential patients, yet we would cater to them. We would follow up, and we would not let them go through the cracks. So these patients felt cared for, and that's how it all started. So I started looking at that, and I was approached by a member in the pharmaceutical industry who gave me shining light as to what this industry was truly about. Um, I had a doctor that was very interested and motivated in clinical trials. So that's how we originally started back in
Wow.
2008.
So basically, a
So
doctor told you about the opportunities in your research.
it was actually it was a pharmaceutical CR, actually a monitor,
Oh, okay.
was the one that gave me the first lead. And then, of course, the doctor was highly interested, highly motivated. But we really did not have the clinical trial experience. So it took us
Yeah.
about 4 years to really make this happen for us,
But that just goes to
between
show you, like,
2008 2012.
everybody needs a helping hand when you're getting started. And it's
And I
almost like
firmly believe
everybody
in that.
starts by accident. So that's good. Judy, Monica, Ashley, feel free to ask any questions. There's a lot going on. Miami, the good and the bad with owning a site in Miami. I mean, we can go down that angle, but let's, Monica, I feel like you feel like saying something right now.
Yeah. So Belkis said that you were approached by a monitor, but how come you ended up meeting a monitor? How was that? I mean, because not everybody get the chance to meet a monitor. Like at first it was, I can imagine that it was obviously an accident because you were working as a MA or as a or caretaking.
I was actually an MA at that time. I had crossed over from the legal field, where I was doing medical malpractice, and I saw that I really enjoyed the medical aspect of medical malpractice more than I did the legality of it. So I really enjoyed working with that part of the files. And sooner or later, I started telling myself, let's start inclining into the medical field. And in doing that, I encountered a monitor, and they gave me light into this field. And I started researching and looking into it and receiving education, light education, a little bit of education, enough to understand. And from there on, I really, it just took me. It just took me. I love clinical trials, and that's how I really started. It was a very humble beginning and a lot of bumps in the road, but sure enough, we trained and we did everything we had to do when we moved forward. So we created this team.
Go, Monica.
Okay. So in between, when you learn about, I mean, you were explaining about clinical trials and you got the interest until you become a site owner, how long it was?
It took 4 years.
Wow.
It was 4 years in the making.
That's
So
great.
yes, so in those 4 years, we had bumps in the road and times where it was discouraging, because we were not receiving the answers we wanted. We were not being picked as a site, and we were really looking forward to these studies. We had the patient population, and it was just that we did not have the experience. And little by little, we started gearing up, and we realized, and we started training further. And 4 years later, it took us 4 years for us to seriously break ground and take off till this date.
Well, I would actually say that that's, a really good time span given where you were with no experience to that level. That's pretty substantial. I find that really, inspiring, to be quite honest. It's really awesome.
Agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm curious, so you said that, you found out through a monitor. How many other, your coworkers, did any of them follow your footsteps through that? And I mean, I'm assuming you're Miami. I know it's, Mexicanos, Cubanos, everybody, so, and how many of them were Latinos?
As far as Latinos, and if are you relating to clinical trial sites?
Yes. Well,
I
like
would say,
your background?
yes, I would say that we, at the same time, it was 4 of us that embarked on this journey, and we've done well. We do a lot of collaboration. As a matter of fact, we do meetings on Saturdays every so often, where we join forces, and we don't incline our meetings to any particular study or any patient per se, but we do touch on enrollment. You may have the expertise on hypertension or diabetes, and I don't have a particular expertise, and you might be able to say, well, we did this, this, and this, and we were able to enroll and bring in a good population. So that's what we do on weekends. Every so often, we do get together Saturday mornings, and we network, and that's how we've been able to bring our sites together, and we are friendly sites. We have a few. We started together, and we're still together, and
That's great.
That's
but
great.
yes, 4 Latino.
That's great. That's a perfect example. I mean, for anybody else that's here, that's a site owner or that clinical research coordinators, to take that into, take that idea and consider your area. I mean, ultimately, we would like as an organization to, through the registry, to be able to understand where you're at, so we can provide specific locations of all sites so that you can do things like this. But of course, we need your help, right? So that's really amazing, because I think that's great.
You can always count on us. We are more than willing to help. We love to join in and join forces. We find that what you're doing is wonderful. It's transparent, and it's helping the community. It's helping the sites. It's bringing us all together as a joint force. So
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
think that's a wonderful thing about becoming a community and work together, because we lift up each other rather than, than just working by yourself. So
Exactly.
that's the great thing, because you, I mean, enhance the power and also help others to grow as as a site, as a business, as a professional in any area.
And that's something that I firmly believe in. Coming from a zero, ground zero, and years before, where we didn't really know, and there wasn't a lot of help available at that time. It was so difficult. So I really believe in joining forces and helping, extending our help to the community, extending our help to other coordinators, just reaching out and being there. So I've had to, I know I have gotten to points or areas where I am overwhelmed, and I have been able to reach out to one of my friendly sites and say and ask an important question or something or other, and have gotten that help right then and there. So and vice versa. So it's wonderful. What you are doing is wonderful. That we can all have this platform to reach out, to network, to provide vital information, and most of all to bring awareness to our Latino community and all communities, because we are diverse and we are inclusive.
Awesome. And seeing that you said you coordinate with all the other sites, specifically your site, what therapeutic areas are y'all focused in within your studies?
We are multi-therapeutic. Our principal investigator is family board certified family medicine. We do pain management, and also we have podiatry. So we are engaged in wound care studies, and we've been successful with those studies. And other than that, we have respiratory that we'll do. Those are the ones that we are mostly inclined to. And then COVID, we really want to control and help get rid of COVID once and for all at some point. So we are involved with the COVID at this time.
And I know you said you started with a doctor. How many investigators do you have now?
At this time, we have 5 investigators. So we have 1 principal and 4 sub-investigators, or if it's a podiatry study, then I have my podiatrist as the principal investigator, and our sub-investigators continue to support us.
Okay. And are they all pretty much like the one doctor and the PI runs the research center, but the other sub-investigators, are they like full-time, part-time, kind of per diem as you need them? How does that work? Or are they all within the practice?
They all have practices. They all have private practices. My office also serves as a concierge medicine practice. So, and my principal investigator has an office within my office as well. So the sub-investigators are as needed, depending. Our podiatry investigator also can conduct her practice hours within our office.
Wow.
So that is how we are set up.
Okay, so they come to you pretty much. So you have the office. Yeah, you don't go to their offices. Okay, got it. That's kind of cool.
The only time we've done when we have come out is when we have gastroenterology studies and we need to use the gastro suite to conduct the GI study itself.
We got a question.
And-
For baseline studies.
Quick question from Gabriella. What's a concierge medicine?
With concierge medicine, we are open to the public. We practice. It's more family medicine, and we don't take heavy insurance. Anything. We are giving our patients affordable insurance. So they are coming in with affordable insurance. So this really works for patients that travel. extensively. They're from out of the country, and they might spend 3 months here or so, and they pick up this short-term insurance, and they have some kind of coverage or other.
That's
So
pretty
that is what we
Wow,
do.
that's very new.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
pretty
I
cool.
love how you're really catering to your patients.
Mhm,
I mean, that's definitely different. You know, I work for a
mhm,
CRO, and I haven't heard of that before, so that's
mhm,
pretty amazing.
Yep.
Now that you say that,
That's been working for us.
mhm.
I would like to ask you, what will be the, I mean, 5 things that you will say that are the key factors of the success of your business?
The success of my business, I think, has been living. We are in a high density population, and it's immensely diverse, and we cater to diversity. We have sustained inclusivity throughout our years of practice, and we continue to reach out even through COVID. We are in home health as well, so we virtually conduct visits and keep in contact with patients. We come out to different churches when they allow us to. We promote healthcare within these churches, and there's a lot of patients. There's a lot of patients that love that we come out to them and that we're kind to them and that we make them feel secure, safe. I think those have been like the main points. Patient subject safety is number one, and we're constantly training. We're constantly looking to improve our skills, and we have transparency. We do have a lot of transparency, and that has been very important for us to maintain transparency throughout. We do enroll well. We don't take studies that we don't think we're going to have a positive impact on, and I think those are the factors that have kept us going through time, including through these unprecedented times. Is just being consistent, a lot of consistency, reaching out. I'm not shy to reach out. I'm not shy to ask for help. And I do respond. If you ask me for help, I will respond. And that's pretty much it. That's what we do. And of course, we are available for change. And as long as everything is changing, we will continue to also keep up to the changes forthcoming.
That's great.
Belkis for president.
Yeah, right. I personally really like how your site or how your business is not just considering the subject but also considering the culture behind and going to the churches and going to directing to the actual patients as opposed to what most places do. I feel that they just try to get them within the site and as they're coming in, but there's just, we know as Latinos, right, that there's a huge percentage that don't necessarily have the best, either communication or relationship with their physician, right? So you want to go to them and educate and provide the resources just so that they know that it's there. And I really appreciate that you all do that. You don't see
Thank
it
you.
that often.
We're trying to remove also the negative stigma of clinical trials and that's through a lot of education and reaching out to these communities, letting them know that clinical trials are safe in the most part, and that we are there to keep them safe, to help them move forward through their trial, that at many times we are the light at the end of the tunnel for many of these patients. And we are removing the negativity, and clinical trials in our community are becoming very, there's a positive, we're receiving more positive stigma than we did before from these patients. Before, some of them would just sign an informed consent, and 3-4 days later they would call us and tell us, we thought about it, or my daughter or my son thought about it, and we don't want to move forward. So we are seeing less and less of that. We do enroll in many studies, and diversity is key to us. And informed consents, we always ask for not just English consents, Spanish, Creole. Our principal investigator does speak fluent Creole. So if we have a Creole speaking patient, we are there to help this patient. We are helped to encourage them to look into this trial, to consider the trial. That's who we are. So we can do
Bill-
brick and mortar, or we can do home health. We are available to both at this time.
Nice.
That's great. Belkis, and have the sponsors been collaborating with your site needs in that aspect? Like, for example, giving the ICFs translated in the patient's language, and because sometimes they take weeks or even months to give this to the site, and by the time the site receive it, is probably the patient already lose interest on participating. How does that work for you or for your site?
Well, as soon as we complete a pre-site, I'm very specific as to the requirement of English, Spanish, and Creole. With the Creole, we have come across a little bit more difficulty in obtaining these consents, but with the Spanish, we are coming along. We engage in studies where we need that informed consent immediately. So we ensure we specify, we're very specific to that, and I'm there to continue asking for that consent.
Awesome. I'm curious, as far as, you say that, your site is very huge on diversity, and that your subjects, your patients are very receptive as far as, following through. Would you say that your PIs, and not just your main PI, but our sub-Is as well, they're very, considerate of, the ethnicity background and how they address the patient and all of that?
Well, definitely. We are very, very concerned with the patient and ensuring that the patient feels comfortable, feels safe with us. And not only the PI, but the sub-PIs, the nurses, the medical assistants, our front desk. We are a team, so we are one, and our PI is very strict on that. He wants to ensure that we are all collaborating together, so as a unit. So that's how we come across to the patient. We are there for them. We work for them.
And do you have any situations? I mean, for me, for instance, I come from the Rio Grande, but there are situations for me personally. I don't speak 100% fluent Spanish, and I'm very open about that. But if there's any situations where you're maybe not all your site personnel know full Spanish, have you ever had any situations where you've noticed that the patient is slightly more hesitant to move forward unless you have somebody that's full fluent speaking or able to more accurately communicate the ICF or any type of aspect of the study to them?
Well, if we have a Spanish-speaking patient, we ensure that the person that is delegated to consent is fluent in Spanish. If it's an English-speaking patient, we ensure that it is someone that is fluent in English. So we have open communication. We're transparent with the patient. We're there to answer the questions, and to a level where they are comfortable. And we don't schedule patient on top of patient on top of patient, and we ensure there's enough time where they're not rushed. They can answer as many questions, and they can go back and forth and decide whether they would like to participate or not. But we do make sure that we are handling the consent forms with the patient and a professional that speaks their language fluently. And we're very strict about that. So with the Creole, our doctor is the one that will do the consenting if it is in Creole.
I was going to ask you that, do you have a clinical research coordinator that speaks Creole?
I have a one coordinator that speaks some Creole, but the person that does the informed consent with the Creole speaking community is our PI.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Awesome. And I guess to kind of, get close to the ending, right, where we kind of go into the more open speaking with the whole organization. How would you say your site is making waves in your community and diversity? How are you going out there and I guess you could say showcasing what your site does and what you offer?
We are very consistent. We are in a medical plaza, medical park that addresses, there's about 80 businesses, 80 doors that we approach. Most of them are medical. And we have the home health that is very helpful. That's one of our best avenues in enrolling these patients. Most of our patients, it's through home health, it's through our colleagues, it's through our sub PI's office or offices, and of course our database. We always go back to our database, but right now most of it has come from networking. We were heavily networking prior to COVID. And what we've done is we continue to reach out to everyone that we were reaching out to. We continue to not knock on their door per se, but we continue to make that call and just make sure people are okay and that we are there, we're available. Our office is open and we have remained open throughout. So
Awesome.
that's how we're doing it.
Have you, Belkis, have you gotten any pushback when it comes to Spanish speaking or Creole speaking from sponsors? Have all of them said, "Hey, this is okay, no problem," or do you run into issues sometimes?
We have run into issues. We have run into issues where they have said English only. We're only consenting English speaking patients at this time in this study, and that has caused it's a little discouraging because sometimes we have a great patient, but they're not English speaking. They're Spanish speaking or they're Creole, and we cannot offer the study to these patients. So we have come across that.
I mean, I know you probably can't go into detail, but I guess kind of surface scan. Is there more specific as to why? Is it just the lack of resources from the sponsor that they're not willing to, you know, get a translator to create these documents? I mean, if clinical research, we need diversity. I mean, that's just the thing. If you're trying to provide, help to people, you're trying to provide a service or product, whatever it is, you need that diversity to be able to more fully understand how to more accurately help people on a whole. So I personally I've never understood that, and I was hoping that you'd probably have some insight that you could provide.
I find it discouraging when it does happen, and we have come across that a couple times, and it has been discouraging. I don't exactly know. I don't know the reason. I don't know why they just say English only, and so that's the community we serve right for that on that particular study. But it's disheartening because we know we have other patients that could possibly enroll into the study and be a great subject in the study. But recently we have not come across that though.
That's good.
We have gotten a little bit better with that, but we did go through that.
There is a think tank that I interviewed on this topic. They call them their multi-regional clinical trials center, and their center of Brigham and Women's and Harvard, and they're kind of like a think tank. They get hired by sponsors to think of these bigger macro issues, and this topic is like front and center because it plays right into the whole diversity, inclusion, equity in clinical research. So I know there's people working on it, or at least they're talking about it. I don't know if working, I mean, I'm assuming they're working on it, if they're talking about it. But I think, the louder we get, the more action and change. I know Judy's very passionate about this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope they're working on it, because this is
Yeah.
something we've been experiencing for years and years and years, and we still experience up to this point. I get studies all the time, and I'm kind of like you, Belkis, from the beginning, even from the feasibility portion. When I fill it out, I specifically state we need Spanish consents. Like, we need it for my patient population. There's specific conditions. I can't take on a study if it's English only. Like, for example, an Alzheimer's study, most of them are Spanish speakers. Most caregivers are Spanish speakers. So I specifically put that. Then they go through and select our site, and we go through the process, and we get started. And there's nothing in Spanish for months and months to come, even though I keep asking for it from the beginning. So we've kind of changed some things around where we create our own ads, but to go and create a whole consent, I mean, that's a whole lengthy process. It shouldn't be my responsibility, but I kind of want to take it on.
Yeah, we have created generic posters in Spanish. We have purchased English and Spanish posters from the CISRP. We have and we have those throughout the site. They're English and Spanish. We have bought brochures for HIPAA in English and Spanish. I mean, stuff like that I can do, but it's like you say, I cannot go and translate an informed consent. So, and if they say, they say English speaking patients, then that's it. It's not, we can't do anything about it, where they cut us off right there. But we've seen a little bit less of that, or at least the studies that have come in where they are in at least English, Spanish. The Creole, we're still having some difficulty.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I can speak for the rest of our co-founders, is that's, we feel very passionate about this. So, that's why even for whoever gets to show up and whoever gets to share a post, the little that you can do to help spread this word and get us, out there to more people, so that we can, it doesn't matter the ethnicity, we are here to share information, resources, educate, and ultimately, to help collaborate with these sponsors so that they can find ways to help sites, the ones that are actually interacting with these subjects and these patients, because really that's where it starts. And so that's what we're here to do. And we really want to make some waves in this industry, this organization. And I know that Monica, Judy, and Dan feel the exact same way about this. And so we're excited to start these conversations and get to hear y'all's stories, and also just to know that we're not the only ones out here, right? We want to do this together. So, yeah.
A good point, Ashley. We're in this together. And also Chris Sauber is here lurking in the background somewhere. I know you're here, Chris. We help sites get studies. So Chris is very passionate about budgets and contracts and getting studies for sites. But the point is, you're right, Ashley. We all deal with the same issues. And this is why networking is so important. And, Belkis, I'm actually impressed that in Miami, which is the most competitive, there's no debate. Okay, we're not going to debate this. In Miami is the most competitive place for clinical research probably on the planet. And so I'm really amazed, and I think it's a good thing that you guys out there locally are networking amongst each other. I know here in LA, I used to be part of some groups before I started getting on YouTube. I used to just go to groups and with other site owners. So there's some strategic advantages to doing that. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Stick around for the Q&As. People are already asking questions. They're amazed. Christine is amazed that there's sponsors that are only accept English speaking. Be amazed no longer, Christine. Welcome. Well, take the blue pill. And then Leroy has a question, but that's Lee, otherwise known as Lee. He's raising his hand. So I guess we'll start with you, Lee, and then anyone else. We're gonna unmute. This is the transition between Q&A, presentations over, Q&A starting / networking, because those two things, overlap. So just unmute and start talking, but let's go with Lee first because he raised his hand. You can see the icon there, so we have to respect that.
Yes, I did. Hey, I listen to you guys talk, and you're so passionate. One thing that really comes through is how much you really care about the patients. I'd put it on my website, especially if a combination of you from the Latinos in Clinical Research Group could record a video on why to participate in research in Spanish, especially from a collection of site owners and/or CRCs or people that are involved, because I think it would go a long way in the community in which my site's in. I'd love to have that on my website to refer people to it.
Awesome.
Ashley, there you go.
Yeah,
Be
it's a
willing
good
to
That's a
do?
good idea.
Another action item for Ashley Margot.
Yes, I just put the note. Thank you for that, Leroy. And I'm sure Monica, I'll let her speak to more on that. She has so many ideas for Spanish-speaking videos, not just Spanish, but Spanglish, right? Because right here.
We have that too.
We have
Yeah, we gotta.
Spanish,
And I-
Spanglish, and
Spanish is
Romanian
really big
Spanish.
down here.
Sure. We're gonna do that, and that's
So,
also part of
like-
the survey. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, like Friday, I'll look for it. I'm just kidding.
Soon.
We actually have a very busy reporting Friday. We have lots of videos. We have lots of
already
videos
have-
I'm just
coming up for you
kidding.
all.
You
We
can
have
borrow-
already videos. We already have some videos in Spanish that we can share with you, and actually, those videos are in the scoop. I
Yeah,
did
the
some
clinical
videos in
research
the past.
circle, the clinical research circle.
Yeah.
But Lee's from, he's being humble. He doesn't want to like plug his company, but he runs West Valley Clinical Research in Phoenix, and it's a very underserved area of Phoenix, mostly Hispanic and African American. So Lee's asking this not just because it's a good talking point, but it's something that he would probably benefit from, and I think many others watching and listening would too. Just copy and paste the video on your website and share it on social media. I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think the patients will benefit for it. It'll help break the disconnect in trust. While I have seen in our community, they tend to trust their providers,
Mhm.
whether it be a PA or a doctor or a nurse. They do tend, our community at least tends to listen to the providers well. But an extra video, when they hear research, it throws up a caution flag versus an opportunity flag. And I'd like them to see the opportunity that lies there.
Absolutely. Lee,
Well,
please be
maybe-
careful. Please be careful. You're starting to make me anxious.
Maybe
You're
collaborate
starting to
with
make me
with the
anxious.
research PI that we can
Yeah.
bring in the Spanish to kind of get the mixture of both. That's a really good idea. And to be quite honest, that's partially also why, and I do apologize, there was kind of issues with the survey, but I will be having those up. I will be posting them online. Please share them here within the organization. And, if anybody else that wants to get involved that will get involved, share that with them. The more information that we can get from you all, from sites, from whether you work with sponsors or whether you work with CROs, the more feedback we can get and data that we can get on everybody is the more that we can help collaborate and share with other tech company sponsors, anybody that is looking to assist sites through this process and trying to get more patients involved, especially the minority, the ethnicity background patients. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Leroy.
Yeah, thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Christine's
Belkis.
asking, how do we get in touch with Belkis? She's on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the YouTube. I actually did a YouTube video with her earlier this month, and I'll put that link in there. And now, guys, it's time to get selfish for you guys. We want to help you. So everybody just, and you can all go at once if you want, but everybody tell us what you need help with, or what you would like to see, or what you would like to get from us, and we'll see if we can do it, or we'll see if somebody here can, or if somebody watching in the future will. So let's just all go say whatever it is that you want to say or need help with or would like from us, whoever wants to.
I'd like to go.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Guerrero. I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I've been in the industry about 8.5 years now, starting from site level all the way through sponsor now. And I think my biggest talking point at this point would be to encourage others to see more careers in research besides the site. And as well, the opportunities that can come from being a CRA. I have not had the experience of being a CRA. I've always worked as a CTA or in TMF as a position by itself. And when I keep talking to people from site or college kids and things like that, they just see research as doctors and nurses. And for me, I'm looking for personal growth just in, my community possibilities, things like that. And just there's talk of opportunities of in-house CRAs now, especially with COVID really putting down the fact that a lot of us can work from home. And I'm really interested in seeing anybody that's really made that move to being exclusively an in-house CRA, what the difference is between that and a traveling CRA, and what you also see as your personal growth from there as well. So thank you.
Awesome.
Well, Jessica, we happen to have one in the house.
Yeah.
You're in luck.
I'm sure there's more.
You're in
And I'm from
luck.
Austin, Texas. Yes.
I mean, it's really hard being here in Houston, seeing anybody. There's maybe a handful of CROs,
Yes.
but now once you have that experience, you're really open to sponsors all over the place. And I've also had the opportunity that, your work ethic and your references really vouch for you. And so when you start having these interviews of really seeing what's out there, you have the opportunity to be picky and really learn. So that's why I'm really interested now in the CRA possibility, because before, I want to say 2 years ago, I never considered a CRA position. And now that in-house CRAs are really picking up and COVID's helping with that, that's really something I'm willing to consider. And I want to see what possibilities that can bring.
For sure. Well, I definitely want to say that one of the things that personal projects I want to do with the organization is I would really want to involve more of the education for the next generation coming up. I really think that that's super important. I was in the exact boat. I was a biology major focused in medicine with human disease focus. And I had no idea that research was anything outside of scientists. And, luckily through my experience and my exposure, I meeting Dan and also getting to know Monica and Judy and everything that came along with that, I was able to land the opportunities that I got. And here I am about a year later, which is pretty substantial, I think, given all the stories I've heard. And so, yeah, that's definitely something I want to do. We want to provide more resources for students, more explanations, kind of gateways, things that they can do and work on while they're in college. Like those are the things I'm personally trying to focus on right now. And it's even more so the tech, right? Because you can easily learn systems online, or you can learn about them or look them up and things like that. So these are a lot of stuff that I want to focus on. And I know that Dan and Judy and Monica are behind board on this. And that's something you can expect. We're all coming up with little projects that we're working on our own so that we can grow this organization in a very massive way and not just in one direction. We want to hit all pinpoints, and we have huge plans. I mean, we're already working on them right now, right, Monica and Judy?
Yeah.
Definitely. There's a
working,
lot
we're-
going on. We're very busy.
We're working
So-
hard, guys, but
Yeah.
I want to say like attracts like, okay? Because this is the same exact question I got from Christine here. And Christine, you would make a very good remote site monitor. Christine has study coordinator experience. So I know they would hire you like this. It's just a matter of networking with people like Ashley. I mean, everybody, who wants to be an RSM should go on LinkedIn and just look up remote site monitors. Hopefully Ashley come up first because she knows how to hack the algorithm. So she'll come up first. But then there's other people too. Connect with all of them, because if you want to be like someone, right, in a position, it makes sense to network with them to see how they did it. It's not really that difficult to network nowadays. Like the world is flat. people are still working from home, or they're like on a staggered schedule. So like attracts like, everybody who's RSM should be like networking with Ashley. Everybody who wants to start a site should network with Belkis, vice versa. It's just there's other people who have done it, and I think that everyone can benefit from networking.
And we are also working towards creating something that is going to help the professionals. So I'm just giving you a hint down there, just there. So that way, in some point, we actually have it it's work in progress. So it's going to happen, I think, soon.
Oh yeah.
And it's a great idea. And we think we're going to help a lot of our community and also the industry.
We
Because
hope to be the
it's a win-win
facilitators.
situation.
We
Yes.
definitely hope to be the facilitators for these kind of connections. Anyone else? Let's go.
Well,
Let's
this is
go.
go ahead. This is Joe Gal from Greenfire. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, but the company is based outside of Philadelphia. I was just going to let the group know two things. Number one is tomorrow I'm interviewing Danielle Coe on a Lunch and Learn webinar, and she was the co-founder of, or the founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. And so she's got a lot of connection through her network that are already going to be joining us on that call, all her colleagues. And the second thing I was going to let you know is that I do make a plug for the Latinos in clinical research in that discussion. I actually have some, Judy Galindo, some of the things that you said in your interview about, what different educational backgrounds. It's nothing specific. It can be IT, it can be health sciences, it can be accounting. There's a place for you in clinical research. So I actually use your quote in the interview process. But I think hopefully down the line here in 2021, we can have a similar interview with the Latinos in Clinical Research Leadership Group. And we can talk about this group, and we can talk about the goals for this group and what you're up to. Kind of, I hear that you're working hard and so forth. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And it's another way that we can continue to promote and network.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. A. Rodriguez.
Yes, I'm Arnaldo Rodriguez. I want to speak on what Jessica was saying as a person at the site. I currently work for IQVIA, but I'm an in-house monitor, or I work from home. So even before the COVID situation, but basically we work in real-world evidence, and there's opportunities there, as well as I have a daughter that works at ICON. She's a CRA, but she actually, when she was going through the training phase, there were a lot of basically site coordinators that were going through that training with her, and they were training out of Tennessee. So I would definitely encourage you to look into those opportunities out there that may also recruit from study coordinators to go ahead and take that to a CRA role.
That's cool.
Thank you so much. Definitely
Thank
something to
you.
consider for an interview in the future if you're
Yeah.
open to it.
Oh, absolutely. I feel another guest
Yes.
appearance pretty soon.
And
Thank
that's
you
pretty
for
cool
sharing.
that you said your daughter is in research too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she totally
Yeah.
looks like your sister.
It's a family thing, actually.
Oh, that's good.
My wife is also in clinical research. She's in data
Oh.
management. Then my daughter's a CRA, and my sister's a CTA.
Oh my God, we
gosh,
gotta do a
that's
family
cool.
interview.
That's like
Yeah.
Because
awesome.
you're a family.
That's what we want to hear. We want to
Yeah.
hear more of
Yes.
that, and we're trying to hopefully see more of that in the future. That's what we
Mhm.
want.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
can
something
we
we're
have-
doing as
we
well.
have to-
My
we
son
have-
is training also for
Mhm.
clinical research, so we will see him sometime soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think this could be actually a good idea for another webinar to bring the family members that are
Family
part.
series. That's
Really
right. You're on the
interesting.
I
short
think
list.
it's
You're on the
really
short list. Let's
motivating.
get you on.
Yeah.
Let's get you on. Anyone else?
That's cool.
Anybody else? Speak now or wait till March.
Next
Or,
week.
I mean, you can always reach out to us on LinkedIn. Got to promote my Clubhouse if you got an iPhone. Every Friday night at 5 Pacific, I don't know what, 8 Eastern, I'm hosting a Clubhouse. Actually, Christine's, who's on this call, and Monica. They're like helping me co-host. So it's only open to iPhone right now. Not very much
Awesome.
diversity yet, but we'll get there.
All
So
right.
then I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, so I live in Colombia and
Oh
I
yeah,
I
Carla,
manage
how's it
clinical
going?
trials for medical devices. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Monica, also
So
my
so
favorite
the
Colombian.
I'm I missed the last one last month. I'm sorry about that, but I'm really interested in your group, so I'm here again. So now that no one else has a question, I would like to say how do you think are the possibilities of clinical research sites in Colombia or in South America to be promoted in the United States, and how can we get more trials? Because in Colombia, we have around 130 sites certified by the local regulatory agency. And I would say that only 20 of them might have running clinical trials. The rest of them are, I mean, doing nothing. So I've been, watching your videos and see what you guys are doing, and I have been also the director of a clinical research site in ophthalmology, and using having only one specialty was even worse because you are limited to one specialty, and in a third world country things are not easy for us. So yes, I told you I've been running as a CRO, but I've been approached by several physicians and friends that want to open clinical research sites. And so what's your opinion? What are our possibilities of being successful in this area?
I mean, I'm not an expert on Colombia. I'm trying to get Dr. Perez, Gilberto Perez he's in Tampa, but he is Colombian and he travels like every month to Colombia. So I know he does a lot of business in Colombia. I'd be happy to connect you on LinkedIn with him. Um, what I would do if I were you, there's a two-pronged approach. I would go after the CRO or after the sponsors from clinicaltrials.gov, especially COVID. There's a lot of demand for COVID and rare disease uh, to open up opportunities in Latin America. And then you can have the sites simultaneously that show interest, because once you marry the two, it becomes a lot easier, to connect it. If you have a study in hand, or at least the sponsor who's interested, versus an investigator. But it could also work the other way around. If you have a group of investigators interested, you can now go to the sponsor and say, hey, we have multi-specialties capability in Colombia. I don't know the details as far as regulatory affairs is concerned. I don't think every study is appropriate, but I do think there is a market for that. I think it's a huge market. I think it's an emerging market. And I know it's being done because Dr. Perez is doing this. So I'd be happy to put you in touch with him. Maybe you guys can collaborate somehow, but it's definitely a huge opportunity, in my opinion. I think you have
Yeah,
to
I
go
mean,
after the sites and the sponsors.
yeah, we already have the sites, and the regulatory area is already understood, and we manage all these aspects. The difficult that we have is getting the sponsors, and it's not easy to get an
It's a
answer
numbers
from
game.
an email.
It's a
Mm,
numbers game. I mean, I think with COVID, I think with all these very competitive, or either very competitive like COVID, or very hard to source subjects like orphan diseases, rare diseases, I think that's your best chance. Those two extremes, I think, is your best chance to go through clinicaltrials.gov and just start emailing.
great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll stop the recording, guys. But thank